Yeah, so like my boys say all the time, I'm gonna give it to you straight, no chaser. Check this out. The whole reason why this kind of man that I just left alive from a white dude and shit. He talking about basically humans. No, 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 no. He's digging off into the ancient shit I'm digging into, but he's not reading shit. He's not reading. He's not telling y'all shit. So I'm gonna tell you off the flip. These ancient stone tablets that everybody is now digging off into, that I've been digging off into for the past 10 motherfucking years. Since I got out the joint. I've been out 10 years. I wasn't privy to this shit in the joint. Right? All this shit that motherfuckers is digging off into with these stone tablets was told to you as evil. And it's not. It's giving you an actually true story. There's beings that came here. Point blank period. It testifies a little bit, an inkling of it in the Bible. But these tablets predate the Bible by thousands of years. Before anything was written on paper, it was established in stone. Right? Well, these beings came here and established themselves here among what you want to call indigenous hominid tribes. This is before Neanderthal, all that shit. Right? And these tribes are melanated. They were black. I'm sitting here trying to tell y'all motherfuckers this shit, man. I don't know why nobody's looking into it, but that's all right. Shit's about to happen in your face when you ain't got no choice but to look in it. So, these beings came here to establish themselves here. Yeah. And according to these tablets, they actually came here to find certain metals that's going to save their kingdom. That's what they call their planet. The kingdom. Right? And it had a deteriorating atmosphere, man. They was from their warring with each other, right? Then they all come together, marry a queen from the north or south, and then married a king from the north, and they all came together, but they couldn't fix their atmosphere. Whenever they come in transit through our part of the light part, because they're from the dark side. Because they're on our binary star. Okay? It's a binary star that just never casts itself into a light as the sun. It's a brown dwarf that they live on. Primarily hard metal shit, so they know how to work with this hardness ass shit. Right? But they couldn't fix the atmosphere due to warring. Okay? The winds was coming through and all that shit. It was getting colder and colder and colder. And then when they come through, the heat from the sun was scorched they motherfucking asses, and they had to go up underground. So they're very proficient about digging, but they had crews of people that would dig for them, do the work for them, what you want to call your fallen angels. Your fallen angels were actually prisoners of war that was taken in with by these motherfuckers, right? And eventually them motherfuckers wind up having to seek solace on a brown dwarf, right? And made it their kingdom. You see, but they was using what's called the Ijiji or the Inunagi. You now call them fallen angels, right? So these Inunagi was used for all the work, all that shit, but they wasn't allowed to marry or nothing, okay? Because of what they can bring forth, and they didn't want to bring that shit forth no more. They're just gonna use them as straight work. They was also known as the lesser gods or the workers, right? And it was also used as a military unit, and they would be dispatch their guns and whatever weapons they were using, right, and go handle business. They was also given their tools by the fashioner, who was called Inky. Inky had a great soft spot for them. He didn't like the way they was being treated by his brother Enlil, who was now known as Lucifer, your God that you praying to. He's also known as Zeus, Adonai, and Yahweh. Real shit. Get the fuck out them paper ass scriptures, man, and go read some shit that was out way before paper was even invented. Real shit. Straight up, man. So, with that being said, the fashioner would fashion tools. But when they came here, they had to fashion a different type of tools because they were so used to working with their shit that they wasn't used to working with this shit. So they came to establish. They was digging canals. They came and cleared this out because some type of destruction that took place here, and they came through. Let there be light. All they did was clear out the motherfucking clouds to allow the sun to come through and allow things to grow. Right? This place was called Tohu Bohu, total desolation, total destruction. Okay, straight up. And this was in a time when Mars was habitable. The first place they landed on was Mars. It had oceans. It had greenery. It had an atmosphere. All that shit. And this is before the scar on Mars even happened. That great gorge you see. You know what I'm saying? That happened to come from the sun. Yeah, that came from the sun and came through and laser cut this motherfucker. Cut all that shit through, man. You know, desolated everything. They had monuments on this motherfucker and everything. That's why they're finding remnants of this shit now. This is millions of motherfucking years ago, man. You hear me? So, Earth was habitable as well. But Earth used to be a lot bigger. But by the time they came down here, that there was life, like trying to propagate, but there was nothing that can really grow forth. You know what I'm saying? So the things was rabbits and savage on this motherfucking shit. Anyways, they came through, cleared the clouds, allowed shit to come through. Now they need to dig canals. So they dug canals and everything. That river you see in the Amazon, that serpentine river, that's not natural. That's carved out. That's cut the fuck out by beings, man. This place was totally terraformed all over this motherfucker, right? To get fresh water to come in and the bad water to come out, right? It's all about fresh water. They dug canals. They was digging canals, right? But how their kind of man came into place, right, was that these warriors or workers were put up against the fence. You know, everything was all good when Enki was doing this thing, right? But it was about a mining project that they needed these materials, right? And his brother Enlil felt like that he was not getting the job done. So he went to his father Anu and told him, hey man, look, Enki is doing his thing, but these workers can kick out so much more, man. I know we need this load, but we can kick out so much more if you allow me to run the project. Anu was quite proud in his son, Enki, right? He was quite proud in him, you know. But at the same time, he allowed his son Enlil to run a thing because Enlil was next in line, but he wasn't supposed to be next in line because he wasn't firstborn son. But because of the way they switched shit up, it was all about the bloodline then. And Enki didn't have a direct bloodline to the mother because his mother was a concubine, which was one of them ones what the fallen angels were, but they took all the women of those species right into the kingdom, into the palace, and took those virgin women and used them as concubines. So Anu was married to his half sister, which those two had a child named Enlil, but the first one born of Anu was Enki, but his mother was not Anu's wife, who her name was Antu. He wound up having a child, the firstborn child, through a concubine, right? That's Enki's mother. So he was totally different, but Enki wasn't about that throne shit. He didn't give a fuck about getting none of that throne shit. He was big into science, genetics, and all that type of shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Making people's lives a little bit more better. You feel me? So, with this being said, he's also known as Poseidon. Yeah, that's who Enki is also known as in Greek mythology. So, with this being said, man, that Enlil, once he got the okay, he came back down here, right, and was wrecking shop. I'm talking about really cracking that motherfucking whip on these motherfucking workers. And they said, fuck this shit. We are revolting. At this time, it was Anu, Enki, Enlil, Ninmah, because there was a little sister, a goddess too, a little princess, you see. And she was in love with her middle brother, Enlil, right? Okay, but Anu was trying to get Enki to have successorship to the throne by simply, since his bloodline didn't lead to the mother, right, which is Anu's half sister, right, that he needed Enki, right, to marry his little sister Ninmah. That's where all this this inbreeding shit comes from, man. For real, within these imperial families. Real shit, man. So that didn't take place. When Anu found out that Ninmah was in love and actually, did something with the middle brother, there was a thing where Ninmah couldn't marry or nothing. So she became this succubus that you want to call, until it was finally approved for her to be married. But it took thousands of years for it to take place, right? Anyways, so they wasn't going to defy the orders of Anu. But this was a time when those three were here on this planet. Okay? Those four were on this planet. Okay? And it's one of the first times where Anu was on this planet. Anu only visited this place 3 times. And Anu was the one that gave you, what y'all do now is observe the Sabbath. Or the 6 days of creation, and on the 7th day he rested. No. That is a washed down, plagiarized, watered down, brainwashing ass motherfucking story. He named them Anunnaki because they're the sons of Anu, right? Who came to Ki, which is what this planet was called. Okay, so he on the 3rd day, matter of fact, on the 6th day that they was doing anything, he was like, y'all have been doing your work for 6 whole days, right? And there's a lot of shit that's been going on here, right? A lot of shit that's going on here, So this day, rest. I want you to take a day of rest, okay? And from here on out, you are known as the Anunnaki, right? Straight up. That's where you get your 7th day of rest. It wasn't for y'all. It was for them. It was for them. And the rest was to the workers, the fallen angels. Okay? But Enlil said, hell no. We're cracking this shit. 7 days a motherfucking week. No breaks. We cracking this shit. We need this. Right? So they decided to revolt. Anu was here at the time. Right? And here it was. These motherfuckers revolted. They took all their tools and shit and set them on fire. Okay? Right? And ran towards the palace, which the palace today still stands. It's called the Ziggurat of Ur. It's in Iraq. Just check it out. It's got military presence. You're not walking on the steps. You're not going inside there at all unless you got you got to be a motherfucker to go up in there. It said there's a Stargate in there. Yes, there is, because that's how Anu came down and also left, right? So, with this being said, they stormed the ziggurat, went up in there, and threatened them. They came out, those 3 came out ready for war, and it was like, oh shit, we got 600 of these motherfuckers ready to go to battle with us, right? And they sat there and told them, we're not doing this work no more. We're not doing this work no more. We have been doing this shit for 250,000 motherfucking years. We're not doing this work no more. It's getting strenuous. We've been complaining about it with Enlil, and he ain't doing nothing to alleviate our shit. It ain't got nothing to do with you, Inky. I'm sorry, but this motherfucker's got to die, right? And they big giant motherfuckers, and they was like, shit. So Enlil, he's still ready to go to battle, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a military commander. You know what I'm saying? This is where you get your commandments from. He's a fucking commander. But he still has to seek counsel with the elders, which you hear that in the Tower of Babel, destruction of the Tower of Babel, where this motherfucker had to go seek counsel, right? And then come down and destroy it, right? There was a pecking order, you know what I'm saying? Straight up. So with this, just like in the military unit, a general, a major, a president, ain't nobody making no motherfucking calls unless they go talk to a council. And even then, the major and general ain't making shit until the council says yes, right? So, man, it's a pecking order. So, Enlil ready to go. But you realize, like, hold up, we're going to die here. You damn right you're going to die here. You see? And the fallen angels, or the Anunnaki, the Igigi, the workers, the lesser gods, right, deemed less because of their bloodline, right, and treated less too. Like I said, they couldn't marry, none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And they can only watch their women get used up as concubines. You see what I'm saying? But there was nothing they would do because there was a greater force behind them. A greater force ahead of them. But when it came here, they became the greater force, and they cast their shit on in the flames. This what Inky did. Inky said, well, he says, well, we can create a mankind, a kind of man. And Ninma, she says, we can't create something from nothing. See, look at that right there. And even Anu himself, he said, something higher than us created this. You see, that came from Anu himself, right? The one is deemed as most high, right? So Ninma said, we can't create something from nothing. And Inky was like, nah, because Inky was exploring this whole motherfucker. Deep in the waters. He was real deep into water, real big into water. That's why Poseidon and all that shit, Atlantis and everything goes all the way back to Inky, man. You know what I'm saying? Where he dealt with the deep waters, man, just dealing with waters. And anywhere there was water, even their mining project had to be about water. You motherfuckers ain't panning from gold just going down to the motherfucking dry parts of the Grand Canyon and panning from gold. No, you have to use motherfucking water to pan for gold. Point blank, period. And there's a lot of water being used when gold is extracted. Real shit. So, with this being said, he explored this whole motherfucking realm and he came across species of people. Including what you want to call dinosaurs, but they were reptilians, right? Good and bad. Walking amongst these primitive motherfuckers you want to call while they was here doing the work. And them primitive motherfuckers seen these people come down doing their thing. It was like, what the hell's going on over there? You know, and they would constantly have problems with these reptilians, man, the bad ones. You know what I'm saying? Constantly have problems, man. You know what I'm saying? So, with this being said, he says, no, we're not creating nothing from something from nothing. No. I says, I've been exploring this. There's 4 different types of species here. Yeah, 4 different types. But there's one that I've been watching. You know, they are very versatile, agile. They use their forearms, their 4 legs to cup water to drink and to eat. Right? And they walk on their hind legs. So I was like, damn. So what he was talking about was a reptile type being. That's why we have reptile lineage, man. We molt and we shed skin. We breathe water. We have to moisturize our skin, just like any frog or snake or anything. You know what I'm saying? We have to be moisturized. You see what I'm saying? But they use that moisturization against you and to implement you with chemicals and shit. Anyways, sidebar shit. But it was talking about like a reptilian type of being that came from the waters. And he was watching them, right? He was like, that's pretty damn cool. But when they got up against the fence, he said, well, there's 4 species here that we can utilize. But there's one that I think has great potential, right? Because they're already walking upright. They're using their 4 legs. That's what I'm saying. 4 legs, man. The 4 legs of an animal is the first 2 feet you see, the first 2 legs you see. Behind them is called hind quarters, and then your legs are called hind legs, right? So he said they're using their 4 legs to cup water and to eat, walking on their hind legs upright. That's not a primate. No, because he said nothing about them being hairy. No, primates didn't even exist at this time. Primates come about from genetic experimentations that didn't work out. So they just let them go and let them swing in the motherfucking trees. This is why apes aren't no longer fucking evolving into what you want to deem humans. No. They're set. But anything Inky had brought forth, he always made sure that there was a purpose for it. And their purpose is damn great for the ecosystem. So they was like, yep, just let them swing in the trees. They'd be good in the trees, right? So he came up with these kind of people, real shit, which brought forth Homo sapien and then Homo sapien sapien. Okay? Now, Yakub later on wanted to wash out genetics of black motherfuckers. You see? And so he was combining species over a course of 600 years, 6 or 7 generations. Yes, he couldn't get them all the way white, right? But they turned out to be savages because the later genetics or the previous genetics, right, start to come out in the people with this inbreeding, right? Come out in the people and they became savages and mentally ill. Real shit. Real shit. You see? So known as your wild men, which is the people that was a pact was made with, okay, with this wild men, with your first black Romans and your first black Greeks and your first motherfucking black motherfucking Europeans. Straight up. Straight the fuck up. The only reason why whites got and brought into this country, not this country, but into these lands or this motherfucking realm, right, is because Inky's doing. Okay, Inky was a hybrid, right, and then you had many other species that was coming to visit this motherfucker, right, seeing what the Anunnaki was doing, was like, shit, they doing it, we doing it too. Shit, fuck that, you know, let's get these genetics, man. Shit, this is a seeding place. Let's go ahead, let's make the best of this, right? But your mankind comes forth from them being threatened, right, and was saying, well, we can't create something from nothing, right? So he was like, nah, there's people already here, there's things already here that we can utilize their genetics. We just got to mix us with them. That's what it says, create them in our image. And that was Enlil's call. Because Enlil was like, at first Enlil was like, nah, we ain't supposed to be doing none of that. No, we ain't supposed to be doing none of that, right? And that's when Inky was like, well, then we all gonna die right here then. We're gonna die right here because they're tired of this and they're done. They're ready to go to war right now. And we don't have the proper military unit because they are our military unit. We're gonna die right here. And so Enlil was like, all right, check this out. Create them in our image. Yes. So they had one of their own kind that they didn't really like. And they had the ability for resurrection. They knew all about the resurrection. They knew how to do it, right? So they didn't really like this one known as a god, and his name was Kingu, right? Okay. The first person that found this place, his name was Alalu. Alalu, okay, which was a half brother to Anu. He found this place out of desperation to try to get his throne back from when he lost the battle with Anu. You see? And so Alalu is a one that first landed on Mars and then came here. Right? Same thing with them. They landed on Mars, refueled up with water. They had water ships. Yes, they was being propelled by water. So they used some water to fill their ships back up, and then they came here. They stopped at Mars as a way station and then came here to Earth. And when they landed here, that's when they had to start doing their thing because they seen all the potential here. But there was still species running around doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? So they cleared the way at certain areas, cleared the way, and started doing their thing as terraforming this planet. You know what I'm saying? So that is the time when they was like, look, we need to come up with something. So this motherfucker, there's one of their own kind that was sacrificed. Some say it was a willing thing, but nope. According to foundational tablets and shit, it depicts this motherfucker as he was not sacrificed. He was looking out on the cliff, looking out, you know what I'm saying, and look, just admiring the beauty, right? And he got pushed off. Yeah. Fell to his motherfucking death. They did not resurrect him because they didn't like him that much, but they used his blood, right? His blood, right? And the genetics of the others that was already here well before them, right? And brought forth creation. That didn't work out, so they had to do numerous things over and over and over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Then they came up with their first clone. Their first clone was Adapa. It wasn't Adam. It was Adapa. Yeah, and that motherfucker was far more than what you think. Telepathy, all that shit. Very knowledgeable and wise because it was mixed in, you see? And that didn't work out so well because they couldn't get him to procreate. They couldn't get him to procreate, man. You know what I'm saying? So then they came up with another species, right? Okay, where this species now can procreate, and there were some things that took place. You read about this as the rib in the Bible. Yeah, but it was woman first. Who was the woman? Well, the women, the wombs that they was using to bring forth these beings coming out from the womb were female concubines. Female concubines that were hybrids, and they were more related to the Anunnaki, which they're like reptilian, draconian ass motherfuckers. You see, so when they coming out from the womb, they're looking different, and they was like, man, damn, why are they looking so different? All because we're using concubines of a different species. You see, she was like, let's lose the womb of our own kind, and the first woman who brought it forth was the princess Ninba, the little sister. She volunteered for this shit and brought forth the first, what you want to call, man. And they held it up to the sun and allowed the sun to accept it. Right? Okay? So that's how all this shit came about. Yes, and then from there, it was subsequent shit to where now they can breed together. They don't have to do no cloning because it took a lot of work for the cloning. Now they can breed and give forth their own children. You see what I'm saying? But those children were being born as workers. So the first mankind, I'm telling you about, because none of us are mankind, but the first mankind, right, was generally used as workers. Real shit. Now we are where we at today. These facts is coming, man. Don't even trip. Don't even trip. Don't even trip. This shit has been resurfaced and circulated around. Scholars have been looking at this shit for far longer than what y'all think. Since the motherfucking 1800s, in fact. Yeah. Scholars been finding this shit, trying to confirm the Bible, but they found shit that they was not counting on. They found the truth. The true story. Yeah. Check that. And these wild men, they know the truth. And the dirty Moors and dirty blackamoors and shit, they know the truth too. Real shit. Your imperial family, they know the truth. Yeah. Vladimir Putin, he knows the truth. Trump, he knows the truth too. Don't even trip. And I'm not even a Trump supporter. I don't vote, and I never will. You know what I'm saying? He has a hidden agenda, but they know the truth. And the truth is coming. The truth is coming. It's going to hit you like a motherfucking glassy snowball. Check that. All because you motherfuckers want to just stick to the Bible and think that's what it is. No, there's things out there that predate that. It's far more ancient than that. What you get is a story watered down to keep you from knowing the truth. 10 toes to the pavement. Grind out all things. Don't even trip. The truth is coming. Matter of fact, it's here. It's going to show its head sooner than what you think.